Hello, everyone. My name is Lorenzo. The daytime I work for an observability company that called QXIP. We're here in Amsterdam as well. But when the light is gone, and in the Netherlands, that's a lot of time, I work on DuckDB. And today we're talking about query.farm. Query.farm, we describe it as the place where DuckDB community extensions grow. We have a few links there, but we'll go back to it. And this presentation is by me and Rusty Conover, which you might remember from DuckCon. Any other presentation about airport, which we'll touch. So first part is, where the hell do we come from and why? We stem from the DuckDB community extension thread. How many of you have worked or work, DuckDB excluded, on an extension here? Anyone? No one. Okay. Well, there's got to be somebody here being shy. So if you have adventured yourself into the DuckDB community extensions, you know that it's like, it's a fun place where you get, first of all, to meet people like Carlo and Sam, which are amazing and kind of, the reason why these all work eventually. So DuckDB is supporting the community and anyone that's crazy enough, to throw an idea into an extension. And that's where we come from. My group, until some time ago, it was called Quack Science. It was a repository with, about 10, 12 extensions, some useful, some not. The other one is query.farm from Rusty. And some months ago, we decided to just merge it all into one effort, right? We're doing the same thing, trying to build stuff with DuckDB, trying to make it do things that it shouldn't be doing or it doesn't do yet, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's where we come from. What do we do? Right now, we have a repository with about 20 plus, 25, I think, extensions with a bunch of downloads, many of which are CI. If your extension makes about 500 per month, that's CI. You're not having any downloads, really. Some of them are, too young to be used, but already, adopted by some developers. And some are just experiments. But I'll show you some examples. We picked a few out of the pack just to show you, the type of things that we're doing. But the message here is that we want to help other people do it, right? So we've been in that position. You're alone, you make an extension, it's nice, it works, but then there's a new DuckDB release, then there's something else coming on, then there's a little change. And, and if you're by yourself, it kind of sucks, spending those nights. But in company, it's all more fun. So this is, the nature of query.farm is this really, an invitation for other people to come and join us. The intention, of course, is boosting DuckDB and its adoption with custom extensions. Again, some are experiments, just meant to prove a point, pro or against. Build developer tools around those things, of course. And, we're nice. Or at the end, we're hackers more than anything else. So many of these, much of this work is of experimental nature. Keep this moving. Some of us, Rusty, namely, is also a DuckDB contributor. In 1.4, I think he has that nice feature with the progress bar and so many other things that are, might be hidden behind, the flashes. But yeah, that's where we are. We're independent, of course, from DuckDB Labs, but they support us greatly. And thank you so much for that and for this opportunity to talk about what we do. So it's about 20 of them. You see a few. I don't know if you ever heard of any of them, used any of them. Anyone? Yeah, a few. Great. So they span all over the place, right? So there is no line in here or order, right? We have things that are just adding functionality, others that are, extending the language and so on and so forth. We'll see a list and we'll go through it. But, the idea is helping other people do it again. So here, a few more points in that direction. So if you are, building something with DuckDB and you reached one of the, one of the corners of it, never say never. You might be able to get out of it or make progress with an extension. And this is what we want to do for the community and companies. So a little showcase of what we have going on. What I think is the best extension in the stack is Airport. Which you might have heard again at the original DuckCon announcement presentation. What Airport does is actually helps us avoid to build a bunch of extensions. So it's an elegant way using Apache Aeroflight to connect DuckDB with other data. So what it allows you to do is building, relatively simple middleware in a pretty much any language because, the libraries behind it are supported just about anywhere, and just write middleware that's just outside of DuckDB, but with the maximum, efficiency when it comes to, the protocols used and the formats used is going to be all Apache Arrow in and out. But yeah, with it, there's an example down there you can see in Python of an example, test server that just shows the functionality. But with Airport, essentially, you can bring foreign data into DuckDB without building an extension, without teaching it about that format and so on and so forth. You can also create external or remote UDFs, user-defined functions, or table functions. Normally, you have to do this within DuckDB in an extension. This way, you can just put it on a flight server. And the beauty is that you can have many of them. So this is kind of, also breaks down how you connect to data. You can go from one place, your DuckDB, session extension, to a variety of remote services, keeping also authentication and a bunch of that complexity out of the way. So you can do it as part of your flight implementation. Down there, you see an example. If you ever want to try it from your own DuckDB, you just load the Airport extension. You can attach our public gRPC server, and you can just start browsing around. There's a few example tables. There's also a weird one that we use as a chat where you can just, post messages and they end up in this flow when, if you're there, you see it. And this is a beautiful one. And if you're building something and it requires, with DuckDB to access external data, external formats, something that you don't really want to bring into DuckDB, because the beauty of DuckDB is that it's light and simple, and that's why it's so fast. So not everything should go inside. And this is a beautiful way to do it. And that's the Airport extension. Radio, completely different topic. I told you it was going to be all over the place. This is for communicating with event systems. So namely WebSockets or Redis pops up. You can attach your running DuckDB instance to it, and you can send and receive events. So you might be generating something as part of your process, or waiting for something to be delivered by, a pops up queue or whatever you want. And this is a really, really cool way to do it without, adding too much complexity or using any external programming language. You do it just straight from, your SQL line. Once again, a simple example. You wrote the radio extension. You subscribe to something. Here we have an example with Blue Sky. So that's a Jetstream server, which opens a WebSocket, and then you just listen for messages. And that's as simple as it gets without, configuring anything external or anything in your code in Python or whatever else. Just straight off DuckDB. Keeping going, same direction or similar, ShellFS. This is a way to interact with pipes on your Linux system. So pretty, self-explanatory, but you can have, any number of scripts or functions that either produce or receive a pipe, so std in or out, and you can just now play with DuckDB right in the middle of that. So you can, write some of your logic in an external script and just use it. Again, a nice, cool way of avoiding, creating an extension for everything or making everything complex. This is great for one-offs, right? You have a special data set. We've seen it like in UE, you've done a similar example. You have something that you have to just make right. It's probably once or twice. And this is a really cool way to do it for, the Linux freaks, where you probably already have a script somewhere that's doing what you want. And now you can just bring it into your DuckDB flow, right? Straight from your SQL, no intermediates, nothing, straight IO. So it's on the same system. In this case, it's nothing. Well, I guess it could be remote as well, right? Yeah, the script could do it. So you can add latency if you want, but otherwise this is pretty, straight to local. Keep rolling, Tributary. This is a nice one. It's brand new, and this is like a solution looking for problem, really. It's our Kafka plugin for DuckDB. What it does, you can imagine, it allows you to, read from Kafka queues, local or distributed. So this is really, really powerful. Right now, it's more of a, we're looking for use cases and users that might need this in their workflow. So if, this triggers your imagination, just, contact us, because, we were looking for trouble. And, it takes a problem to create a solution sometimes. You cannot just imagine everything. So this is something that Rust is actively working on. And, it's pretty self-explanatory if you're using Kafka. We keep going. Oh, this is one that I know nothing about. So, I'm just going to be reading the screen with you. Stochastic extension basically adds a statistical function and a bunch of other things that allow you to use DuckDB to do A/B testing, anomaly detection, confidence interval, Monte Carlo simulations, whatever that is. I have no idea. Does anybody know what a Monte Carlo simulation is in here? Awesome. Well, at least that's for you, right? So it's a really cool extension, right? It's more to show, where we're going. We're adding little things that by themselves will actually probably do just about nothing, but as part of a mix, as part of an idea, this might be one of those little building blocks that, just takes you to the next level. What else? Redis. This is also pretty self-explanatory. There is an easy way to use DuckDB with Redis. You can just it's more than a scanner because this can read, write, and do a bunch of other things. It's mostly implemented as macro-like functions that do something. And this also doesn't have a whole lot of users, a few experimental ones. So if you use Redis and you use it with DuckDB, you really would be curious to know if, this does anything useful or if it's missing any feature or if, there's anything left to be desired when it comes to, using it in real life. I'll just keep rolling. If you have any questions, by the way, interrupt me because I don't care. Actually, I would love questions in between rather than the end. HTTP server extension. This is one of my first, experiments with the extension where it basically turns a DuckDB instance into a server. So it turns it into an API that you can connect to remotely. It also serves a little UI that you can use to run queries and so on and so forth. And initially was made because, we're big ClickHouse users and migrating from ClickHouse is a big part of, the problem that we're trying to solve. So this actually emulates the ClickHouse HTTP API, but inside of your DuckDB instance. So you load this extension, you start it. We'll make it more elegant. Right now it's a select, but we'll make it something more nice to be triggered. But essentially, it turns that very instance into a web API, the HTTP server, which can serve also your own UI if you want to. So if you want to use this and you're making your own UI, or you want to embed something else that's not the one that we do, it's super, super easy. It. After which, nothing. It's just ready. So you can I think there's a few UIs out there that actually use this integration to communicate with remote instances, and it's super, super cool. It's also used by a bunch of other integration. I'm quite proud of it. On the other side, HTTP extension, which is simply just a helper. I mean, this doesn't do anything spectacular because there's already a HTTP client inside of DuckDB, but this exposes it in a way that's a little easier to use. Essentially, few helpers to making get and post requests. Today, we just got a request asking to handle binary formats into blobs, which is really cool. I mean, somebody used it for something. I don't know why one would want that, but yeah, this is what it does. So an easy way to make queries straight from your DuckDB session to remote APIs to fetch some data, whatever. It's got to be some JSON something and whatnot. This is another cool one. It's actually the first one that I worked on. CHSQL extension. It basically does a couple of things. One, it adds 100 some growing macros to DuckDB, emulating ClickHouse commands. So if you have, some ClickHouse SQL dialect scripts and whatever, and you're parting them, by enabling this thing, you're saving yourself from having to, just change everything right at the beginning, and you can do it over time. This is why we made it. We had a bunch of flows that we were migrating from ClickHouse to DuckDB, and this helped us a lot. The second is a native client. So CHSQL, it's actually two extensions, CHSQL and CHSQL native, which is in it's in Rust, which adds a native client for ClickHouse. So with it, you have a scanner that can connect to remote ClickHouse instances using the binary protocol, which should be efficient. But actually, I heard this morning we are not going to need it anymore because ClickHouse just announced gRPC support and flight access. So essentially, with the airport extension, you'll be able to attach a remote ClickHouse database and just use it. So this is probably going to get deprecated over time. We're going to keep maintaining it as long as somebody's using it. But yeah, that's what it does. Cron job, another simple one, right? Super simple, cron job, but it's inside of DuckDB. It happened to us that we had some, long-running jobs and things where, gradually we wanted to either downsample data or drop data or rotate it or, do whatever type of magic, but within the execution of that process. So we made just really, really super simple extension. It just runs something on a cron schedule. So you can, whatever it is, you want to drop things over time, you want to clean up a table, or it's really whatever you want to do. We use it mostly for, maintenance related tasks as part of our integrations. But yeah, something simple again by itself. You wouldn't use it for anything, but mind with other things, it actually works. One of the examples is radio, right? So you can attach this to something that's coming actively into your session, an event, a WebSocket or whatever, and then use cron to either collect, calculate, whatever you want to do really. And this is also a pretty cool one, web macro, right? So you said nobody here is working on a, C++ DuckDB extension, but that's not the only way to do it. right? There's a lot of things, and they grow every day that you can just do with SQL. It just turns into some gigantic SQL, script that, quite frankly, it can be hard to even share with somebody. So that's why we came up with web macro. Basically, you take your gigantic, weird custom function or whatever, you paste it in a file, you put it somewhere in a gist, on your pasty, whatever you want, as long as you can access it, and then you just load it, and it becomes a function. So this is basically a dummy way to write a fake DuckDB extension that's going to do something. So you can see there, load macro from URL. You just give it a URL or whatever this text file really is served from. There's a few safety checks, right? It looks that inside there's nothing too malicious, could still be broken into, but nevertheless. And then you have a brand new function that you can just use. It can be a scalar or a table function, so you can just do whatever you want. This is an example that, again, queries the Blue Sky API for some messages matching. What else? Periscope. This is a little link to your presentation as well that I decided to leave in there. It's just a Rust extension with the Periscope SDK API inside that basically allows to do continuous profiling of a running instance. So you're doing some heavy job, you want to see how it's doing, you're working on an extension, you want to see how it makes DuckDB worse or whatever. And this is a real-time way to do it. So it actually streams data using the Periscope format to either Periscope from Grafana or Gigapipe, which is from us. It's a fully open source, made in Europe alternative to the entire LGTM stack of Grafana. And this way we can actually observe it in real time. So we don't have to do everything, like get the file, put it somewhere, whatever. This is streamed. So we can see as we grow the functions, the time, and whatever is generated by the profiling. It's only one command, on and off, because you just turn it off, give it a URL where it should send data, and then it dies at the end, or you kill it. And that's pretty much what it does. Most of these are 1.4 ready. Maybe not all of them, but most. If they're not, they're on the way. So it could be that you go and look for one of these versions with 1.4 and says, I can upload the file, whatever. Don't worry, 24, 48 hours, and they pop around. Another thing we're working on is the query.farm data platform, which basically takes everything that we've done and puts it together into a platform that actually does something. So on one side, we're building a bunch of open source tools for makers that you can use to do something. On your side, we're making our own platform. And it's not hard to imagine, it's yet another, type of lake things, but we take a little twist because we build it entirely on airport and our technology. So this wants to be both like a useful something, but also a showcase and a way to show other developers how all of these things can be combined to actually build a useful platform. So yeah, pretty much at the end. So the idea, or the concept, was just to show you what we're doing. We're at the end, we're a community. So the first thing that we're looking for is other crazy people that want to join in. And you don't have to be a developer. Many times the secret is the idea, right? Knowing what's needed, what's missing, and whatever, which is something that not all developers can do. So some of us are good at writing code, some others are good at finding problems to solve. So if you have a problem, if you have an idea, if there's something that you're dreaming of, that's a chance that we could do it together or build it in the open, in our community. We're available on the DuckDB Discord pretty much all the time. So if you go in there in the community extensions or extensions repository and you write anything, even if it doesn't have anything to do with us, eventually we'll pop in and have something to say. So it's really easy to find us there. We also have a mailing list, a bunch of other things. I think I put them in the last slide. There you go. So query.farm is the URL. Of course, on GitHub or query.farm info. It says put a QR code there. We clearly didn't do it. So imagine there's a QR code. And this is it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Are you seriously suggesting you're short on ideas and you need more?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I said we're looking for trouble.
Yeah, so I'm fairly new to the ecosystem, but I was reading a bit about the semantic layer. So is any one of you guys working on RAGs and other sort of ports to allow natural language queries on DuckDB?
Perhaps. Not me. But yeah, if you drop in, I know that there's a couple of crazy people, dipping their toes in there, but not directly related to us. But in the community, yeah.
I think MotherDuck is working natural language to SQL, so that's maybe one angle. Any further questions? Roland.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. I was intrigued by the cron job. How does it work? Like, do you spawn like a separate thread or something that keeps that?
Yeah, but it's a child thread of the DuckDB thread. So yeah,
Cool
and it
stuff.
dies
Thank
with
you.
it. So it's it's stateless. It's just within the execution of that thread.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing it.
All right. We have 3 more minutes. Any questions to Lorenzo? Yeah.
Oh no.
No. Well, thanks for the great presentation. Thanks a lot for all the work you've done on the community.
Thank you for your patience.
I have a question, like, as a person who has worked a lot with the extension framework that is there, like, what would you consider are like the low-hanging fruits to like take this community or like the tooling or any part of that? Is there anything you identify there as an easy fix or an easy win or something that we should definitely look into?
Easy? No. I think you guys thought it right from the beginning. So I think, you just, created a nice ecosystem. Then, this is an evolving project. So I don't think there's anything really easy that you haven't already made easy for us. So the only things that are not easy are those related, I think, to the evolution of DuckDB, which, come in batches and we deal with them together. And thanks to you guys, they're always pretty simple to, figure out. So not because you already do it, it's fantastic. All right.
Yep, that concludes the talks. Thanks, Lorenzo.
Well, thank you guys. I hope it's not raining outside and thank you for listening.